What is going on? Welcome to Shred Gaming, and today we're going to talk about Project L and the interview from EVO Japan 2023. And before we continue, please hit that subscribe button, comment, and like down below. Help this channel grow. Now let's get after it. Last week, we got to watch EVO Japan 2023, in which many talented players put on a showcase of amazing competition. Money was won, characters were revealed, and we got an interview of the Cannon brothers where they talked about their background, how they created EVO, how they invented rollback netcode, and of course Project L. And if you want to watch the video in its entirety, I will make sure to link it in the description down below. I highly recommend you do, because they go into their background and how they played Street Fighter 2, how they created EVO in a little bit more detail. So in this interview, they were asked the questions we all want to ask and gave us the answers that we've all been curious to know. The main things that really stuck out to me was their philosophy on the game, monetization, and why it is going to be free to play. Will the game have cooldowns, balance patches, and their philosophy on character design and mechanics. First, their philosophy on creating the game. The philosophy on the game was very simple, yet I believe it is very important. They're designing the game with the player in mind.
Because we are players and because we have been involved with building experiences for fighting game players for so long, we have a lot of practice in understanding hopefully what will make players happy.
They understand that all sorts of people from all sorts of gaming backgrounds are going to be playing this game, and they want the game to be very inviting for everyone. Hence is why the game is going to be free to play.
Yeah, one of the things we're trying to do with Project L is let more players find the magic of fighting games. And right now there are many barriers. One of the things that can help there is making it free to play, where they can experience the breadth of fighting games.
But they also want the game to be very rewarding without being predatory.
The things that we're very serious about is making sure that they get a genuine experience, and so we will never try to sell power, right? So they should be able to have a full-strength character or explore the roster without having to pay. And that will lead to more engagement, and then when they spend money because they love the game, they'll feel good about it. They'll feel good about it before the purchase and then after the purchase. As far as models, like Riot has other titles in the free-to-play space, like League of Legends and Valorant, that are very successful. So we're going to borrow ideas from those games and make sure that they make sense in the fighting game genre. For example, both of those games will sell cosmetics as opposed to power. So maybe that's an approach we'll take.
Another thing they talked about was the competitive feel of the game.
For instance, when we're thinking about our rank system, we're thinking about what does it feel like to go through like pools, and then to have that celebration of like, I made it out of pools, but now can I make it to the finals? And then can I win? And we understand the emotional journey that the player goes on, and we can try to come up with ideas in the game that give you hopefully the same feeling.
Going from pools to top 16 is kind of like going from bronze and silver to gold in ranked matchmaking. Whether you play fighting games or even League of Legends, you have felt what it is like to break that ceiling and get out of ELO hell. If you got the chance to play Rising Thunder, DNF Duel, or Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, you may have felt the frustration of cooldowns. And since Rising Thunder was a game created by the Cannon brothers, they were asked if the game will implement cooldowns.
Cooldowns in Rising Thunder was one of those experiments, but it didn't work out. We weren't really happy with that, and we think taking options away from the player, like you hit a button and then you can't hit that button again for 5 seconds or something, that was not a good idea. But there was a reason why we thought that was interesting. It was to try to balance simplified inputs, okay? And so we've taken those learnings and we're applying those to Project L.
And now balance patches. Balance patches are also very important to any fighting game, but since this is a Riot game and League of Legends has balance patches every 2 weeks, we were all curious how that is going to be implemented.
We take inspiration from League of Legends, but for everything we do, we will do what's right for a fighting game. And so what we like about League is we think constantly keeping the game updated makes sure that the game doesn't stay in a bad state for too long, but part of the fun of fighting games is seeing an overpowered technique, and then the players try to figure it out. And maybe they can counter it, right? And then can you have a counter for the counter? And if you patch the game too quickly, that's not possible. So we're going to, we won't patch every 2 weeks. It's pretty safe to say that. We're going to find the right time between patches that works really well for a fighting game. And this is an area where once we are live one day, we're really going to listen to players. And if you tell us we're patching too quickly or too slowly, we'll try something else until we get it right.
It's understandable that League of Legends would have constant balance patches due to its 160 plus size roster. But with fighting games, their roster is significantly smaller, and the Cannon brothers understand that fighting games need some room to breathe, so players may figure out exploits and counters to what may be considered an overpowered mechanic. And last was how they go about picking and designing a character.
And so when we're building new champion, there are obviously fighting game concerns you want to consider, like what is their archetype? Is this a grappler or a zoner, right? What is their style? Like how can a player express themselves differently within that genre, right? We're also trying to look at the source material, the League IP, and really try to elevate it and say, for a character like Darius, what does Darius represent in League? And what's the best expression of that in a fighting game, right? They're very different games. League is very helicopter view, top down. And fighting game is much, much closer inside view. And so how do you make sure that that power fantasy, that essence of the champion is true to a fighting game, but also true to the League IP?
This just shows how well versed the Cannon brothers are in fighting games, and they understand character archetypes, but also implementing the essence of a character from a different IP is going to be very important, not just to the IP in which they're pulling the character from, but to the players who are fans of those characters. So I didn't cover the last news we got on Project L because most of it was stuff that we kind of already knew, and a lot of my fellow content creators actually covered it really well. But I felt with this interview, they actually answered a lot of the questions we all really wanted to know, such as cooldowns, balance patches, and why is it free to play, and how are they going to monetize? From the looks of it, they are going to be borrowing the monetization platform in which League of Legends has, so that you can buy skins and enjoy the look of your character without being predatory on the gameplay itself. Because as we all know, hiding power and pretty much entirety of a game behind a paywall when it's supposed to be free to play is just very predatory, and it just completely turns you off of a game. This game sounds like they really want as many people as possible to enjoy it and play it. So coming from creators and coming from gamers themselves, they know what it's like. And one last thing I wanted to say was I have not been covering Project L very much. I've been focusing on other games. The reason being was because I've had to tell myself that Project L is not going to be coming out for a while. I appreciate that they're giving us information enough to keep us hyped about the game, but also not hanging us out to dry. So I've actually had to tell myself this game's not coming out for possibly another 2 to 3 years.
This is an area where once we are live one day,
have fun with other games, have fun playing Street Fighter 6, have fun playing Tekken 8, have fun playing Mortal Kombat 12. But remember, this game is not going to be coming out for a while. Don't hold your breath on this. Just enjoy the information that you get. Enjoy other games while you're waiting for the game. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all you guys. Please, again, subscribe down below. Help this channel grow. Until next time, Shred out.